Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. This is the Animating and Rigging Quadrupeds in Anime Studio Pro 11 webinar. My name is Michi Katanies and I'm the Product Marketing Manager here at Smith Micro, and I'll be the moderator in today's webinar. Our presenter today is Victor Paredes. Many of you probably know of Victor. He's an award-winning animator and he is also now part of the Anime Studio team. A few things to note before we get started. All attendees are in listen-only mode today. We will have a question and answer session at the end of the webinar, so if you have a question, please type it in the questions window and we'll do our best to get to all of them. And lastly, this webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on the webinar section of our website within 24 hours. Be sure to follow us on social media to find out when it's available. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Victor and let him get started. So Victor, I think, there you go.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you for joining us today in this webinar. I want to start by rigging a quadruped, and first I want to show you the way I like to rig quadrupeds, but it is not the only way, and it can change from one character to another. So please don't take this as the only way, because probably you will have other alternatives and probably you will discover other ways to rig a quadruped. So for this webinar, I will use this character made by Jiyen Liu. She's an artist we met at the last CTN, and she gave us this character to play with it and to animate it. So she's very kind to do that. So I have this character which is very simple. It is actually made of vector layers. I am trying to keep everything simple and clean here. So I have this camel and I want to start rigging it. So first I will go to the Add Bone tool. Okay, and go here. And I will add a bone which will be my main bone or my root bone. And I will create from the middle of the body to the top of the screen. So you can see here is my first bone. And now I want to separate my character in two parts, the front part and the back part. So I will create the back part bone here. So here is it. And now I will create the front part, but the front part needs to be a child of the main bone, because if I create it right now, the back part bone is red. So if I create the bone now, the new bone will be child of the red bone, and I don't want that. I want this bone to be red. So I will press Alt in the keyboard and keep it pressed and click over the bone. Okay, so now this bone is red and I will create the other one. So here is it. Okay, so now I will hide the camel. Okay, and I have this very simple construction. So I have the main bone and one bone which will control the back part of the character and another bone which will control the front part of the character. Okay, so now I will show my camel again, and I will create the bones for the leg. So I will start with this leg. So I want to hide all the other layers and show only that leg. Okay, so I will create this leg, and this leg needs to be child of this bone, because this is the bone which will control the back legs. So I will go to the Add Bone tool and press Alt and click here to make the bone to be red. And now I will add one bone here okay, and another bone here, and another bone here. So I have this leg made with only 3 bones. You can make a more complex character. I am trying to make this as simple as possible so you can follow the general idea of the webinar. But of course, you can make a more complex character. And the same is for rigging. I am trying to make a very simple rig, and also I don't want to teach you how to rig simple characters because I am assuming you already know that. Okay, so if you don't know how to bind points or how to use the bone strengths or how to make some basic stuff about bones, please check the other webinars and then go back to this one because that webinars cover the basic. Okay, so I have this leg, and now I will test it with the manipulate bone tool, and you can see how it is bending, but the bending is not working too well, right? So I can modify the bone strength, so I can reduce the bone strength of these bones, okay, and it is working a little better, but there is a problem, and it is a problem about binding. Right now, the back part of the character, or the backbone, is moving also, or is distorting also the leg. So you can see here, this part of the leg is being distorted. Okay, so I don't want that. I want the leg to move only by using the bones of the leg. Okay, so to do that, we have an option. We can rig this in several ways, but the simplest option for me is to go to the vector layer of the leg and then go to the select bone tool, and I will select the 3 bones of the leg. So I will press Shift in the keyboard and click in the first, the second, and the third bone. So I have these 3 bones, and I have selected the vector layer, and now I will go to the bone menu and press Use Selected Bones for Flexi Binding. Okay, and this menu has a shortcut which is Ctrl-Shift-F or Command-Shift-F if you are in a Mac. So I will press this, and with this I just told the software that the leg will move only using the strength of these 3 bones. So if I go back to the main bone layer and test the bones, you can see how now this part of the leg is not being distorted by the strength of the other bones, because the leg is only moving by using these 3 bones. Okay, so now once I am done with that, I want to create a target bone. And to create a target bone, there is a webinar which is called Rigging Characters in Anime Studio 10 or something like that. And you can check that webinar to learn more deeply about this. But I will create a simple target bone. So I will go to the Add Bone tool. And to create a target bone, in this case, I need the target to not have any parent. Okay, and to do that, I need that no bone will be in red. In this case, this bone is in red, which means that the next bone I will create will be child of this one. And I don't want that. So to make no bone red, I have to select no bone. So what I will do is to press Alt again in the keyboard, but I will click here in the empty space. So if I click in the empty space with Alt pressed in the keyboard, you can see now there is no bone selected. Okay, and now I will create the new bone here, which will be a target bone. And this bone will start from here and will go down. Okay, so I have this. But now if I test my character, you can see the target bone is not working yet because I haven't told the software, that this bone is a target bone. Okay, so to do that, I have 2 alternatives, the slow one and the fast one. Of course, I will teach you the slow one. and then the quicker one. I will select, with the select bone tool, I will select this bone, which is the bone I want to be the target, and I will see the name of this bone here. It is called B7. I can change this name if I want, but I like B7. I think it is a name with a lot of personality. Okay, so I just will keep this as B7, and once I know the name of that bone, I will select the other bone, the bone which is pointing to B7, okay, and I will go to bone constraints, and I will go to the target section here, and click here and select B7, okay, so I am telling the software that this bone will be pointing to B7, okay, so I close this, and now if I use the manipulate bone tool to test my character, you can see that if I move this bone, the character, oh sorry, something happened. The character will keep touching the ground, okay? So now I am ready, or I am almost ready with the leg. If I move the leg, you can see the foot is also rotating. So if I move the entire character, you can see the foot is rotating, and I don't want that because that foot is touching the ground. So I want that foot to still touching the ground. So to make that, I will select the foot bone. I will go to the bone constraints and check independent angle. Okay, and once I do that, this bone won't rotate. At least I manually rotate it. So now you can see how the bone is always pointing to the same direction. Okay, so now it is not rotating. Okay, and now I can take the target bone and I can reduce the strength to 0 because actually I don't want that bone to have a strength because that bone is not moving any flesh of the character. This is something like a helper bone, so it doesn't need to have a strength. Okay, now once I am done, I will show the other leg, this one, okay, and I will go back to the bone layer and I will select the bones of the leg and I will copy with Ctrl C and paste them. So now I just copy and paste the bones. So by dragging this little circle here, I can move the bones. So I will move this, and now I will press escape to unselect the bones. Okay, in my case, I press escape. It depends of your configuration of the software. The usual shortcut to unselect is enter, but I recommend you to go to edit, preferences, and go to tools and check the classic point editing keyboard shortcuts, because the new shortcut, when I have this unchecked, I think they are better, they are more intuitive than the old ones. So for example, to unselect, I press escape instead of enter, and that for me is more intuitive. And also, if you want to confirm something or paint a shape or do something like that, you press enter to confirm. Okay, so basically the thing is escape cancels and enter confirms. So that is better for me at least. Okay, so I press escape to unselect all the bones, and now I will take the bone from this circle here and I will scale this and move this and scale it and move this and finally move the target to be in the right place. Okay, so now if I test my character, the leg is working. Okay, but I have two problems here now. The first problem is that since I copy and pasted the bone, I lost the parent for the bones I pasted. So I need to reparent the bone. So if I check this, you can see this leg is actually independent to the parent bone. So I can move the entire body and you can see the leg is not moving. I mean the bones of the leg. So I need to fix that. And to do that, I will go to the reparent bone tool. Okay, and you can see these arrows here. And what I will do is to select first the bone I want to fix. So to select it, I will press Alt and click over the bone. Okay, and now once it is selected, I release Alt and now press the bone I want to be the parent. So I click here and you can see now I have an arrow here. So now if I rotate this, both bones move. So both are child of this parent bone. And the other thing is that the flesh of my character is being distorted by the strength of the other bones. So to fix that, I will repeat the process I made for the other leg. I will go to the vector layer of the leg. I will go to the select bone tool. And now I will select the 3 bones of the leg. Okay. And I will tell the software that it must use the selected bones for flexi binding. Okay. So I am ready with these legs. So now my character is working. I will delete this. It is working much better. Okay. Now I will go back to frame 0 and I want to rig the front leg. Okay. So here is one thing I want to show you. This leg, in the drawing, this leg is totally straight. Okay, but I will create a new file to show you this. If I create a totally straight leg, so I am creating this, the software will decide to what side of the screen the knee should move. So in this case, for example, it will move at the left, or maybe to the right. Okay, so the software needs to decide where to move that. But if I create an angle with the legs, so for example, if I create this, now the software knows that the knee must be pointing to the left of the screen. Okay, so that way I can tell the software where to point the knee. Okay, so again, if I make this to the other side, like this, the software will know that the knee needs to point to the right. Okay, so in the case of the camel, I have a straight leg. So for quadrupeds, it is always good to look at the references. So I can't show you that now because the webinar is too short to do that, but it is good to see how the animal works and how the entire animal works. But an important thing is, for example, to check the I will invert this. Okay, to check the image of an animal. So with this image, I know that the knee is pointing to the left of the screen in this case, or is pointing to the front of the character. So knowing that I know how to rig my character. Okay, so I will create the first leg. I will go faster than with the other ones, and this leg will be child of this bone. Okay, and I will create a very little angle here, but it is big enough to tell the software where to point the leg. Okay, so you can see, and now the target, instead of making the target pointing down, I will make this to point to the right. Okay, and this is not necessary, but it can be useful. For example, if you are animating your character and you put the one target here and the other here and the other here, by seeing where the bones are pointing, you already know which leg you are moving. So I know with this bone I will move one of the back legs, and with this other bone I know I will move one of the front leg. Okay, and now the target of this bone is not defined yet, because you remember I told you I will teach you the slow way to create a target and the fast way to do that. Well, now here comes the fast one. So I will go to the reparent bone tool, and I will Alt and click the bone I want to assign the target. Okay, so now it is red, and now I will press Control or Command in the keyboard, and I will click over the target. So you can see now a little circle here appears, and that means I already set up the target. So I don't need to know the names of the bones or change the name or go to the bone constraint window. I simply Control click, and now I have the target. So if I test this, it is working, but you can see that the bone strength is very big. So I will reduce this. And again, to get a better movement, I will go to the front leg vector layer, and I will select the 3 bones this leg uses, and I will go to bone and use selected bones for flexi binding. Okay. Now I will show the other leg, and again I will copy and paste the bones from the first leg, and I will move them. Okay, I am doing this a little faster than before, but you already know what I am doing, and I will move the target here. Okay, and now I will go to the vector layer of the leg and select the bones and go to the menu or press the shortcut if you want, Ctrl-Shift-F, and now the leg is working. And finally I need to select the 2 feet from the front and go to the bone constraints and select independent angle. So that way I avoid the feet to rotate. And I forgot one thing. Since I copy and pasted the new leg, I lost the parenting. So I need to reassign the parenting. You can see if I select the reparent bone tool, you can see this bone is child of this one, but this one is not being child of that. So I will alt click over this bone to make it become red, and then I release alt and click the parent bone. So now you can see I have a very simple structure. So I have a main bone which will move the entire body, okay, and I have separated bones to control the back and to control the front. So this is useful, and we are almost done. But there is a little trick I like to use. When you move your character up, the bones normally are separated from the target bones, right? So it is good to make the character jump, for example. But if you want to make the legs longer during the animation, I think it is better to set up these legs in a different way. So I will separate this, and I will select the 2 bones here of each leg. So I am selecting the entire leg but not selecting the feet. Okay, and I will go to the bone constraints, and here I have a maximum IK stretching. Normally it is set up in 1, and that means 1 means 100%. So that means these bones will stretch 100%, and in other words, that means the bones won't stretch at all. So if I put 2 here and I close this, you can see now that the bones will stretch until getting the 200% of the size, and then we'll start separating from the ground. Okay, so I think this is useful if you want to animate your character, because sometimes you need to stretch a little the legs to get exactly the pose you want. Okay, and finally I will select again all these bones, and I will go to the bone constraint again, and I will check the squash and stretch scaling, because right now it is only stretching but it is not squashing. So if I check this, you can see now the legs become thinner when they are longer. Okay, so I can show you this in real time. So this makes the character to be more believable during the animation. So we are almost done with the legs. I will show the rest of the body. So you can see here, I can move the back of the body. I can move the front. Of course, the rest of the body is not rigged yet, but we have the more important part. So now I will go to frame 0 and add some bones for the neck. So I will create some child of this bone. So let's suppose here, and I will create a couple bones for the ears. And I will create child of this one now. I will create bones for the tail. Okay, and I will create a bone for this little cover. Okay, so I have all these bones, and the rig is not working well yet. Okay, but now I will reduce the strength of these bones. Okay, to get something closer to what I want. So I am reducing the strength, but again I will go to each layer. For example, I will go to the tail layer, and I will tell the software that the tail will move by using these 3 bones. So I will press the bone menu, use selected bone for flexi binding, and the rest of the body, I will tell the software that the body moves by using all these bones. So I selected several bones here, and I will tell software use selected bones for flexi binding. Okay, so now it is working a little better. Okay, but I will select the head, and I want the head to be moved only by 1 bone. So I will select only this single bone here and use the menu again. So now the head is not being distorted by the rest of the body. And now, of course, you can continue rigging your character. You can use smart bones. If you don't know how to make smart bones, I recommend you to check other tutorials. There are many of them. And now I will bind some points. And again, if you don't know how to bind points, I recommend you to check some tutorials about that. Because I'm sorry, but we don't have time to cover that now. But I just bound the ears to these bones here, and I will make the same with the cover. Okay, so now I can move the ears and the cover, you can see. So my character is finally rigged. I know it is not perfect, but it works well enough for this webinar. Okay, so we are done with the rigging, and now I want to start animating. Okay, so I will animate a work cycle. If you don't know how to make a work cycle, I recommend you to look at the Anime Studio tutorial for version 11.2, and that tutorial is about work cycles and how to apply additive cycles to them. So if you don't know how to make a work cycle, I recommend you to look that tutorial. And we will use that same model for our work cycle. So first, I will create a new vector layer outside of the character, and I will name this lines. Okay, it is not a fancy name, but it works for the webinar. So in these lines vector layer, I will create some lines. Okay, so I will use the add point tool, and I will create a line here, and this line will be the ground for these two legs. Okay, and now I will copy and paste the line and move it here, so I have the ground for the other two legs. Okay, and now I will select all these and I will scale the lines to cover the ground, and I will paint these lines. Okay, so I have these black lines. Okay, and now I will create a rectangle. Okay, so I will go to the to the draw shape tool, and I will create a rectangle, and this rectangle won't have a fill. It will also only have a stroke. Okay, so here's the thing. I will create a rectangle here, and the size of this rectangle will be the length of the stride of the character. Okay, so if the rectangle is smaller here, the character will move slower, and if it is longer, the character will move faster. Okay, because the stride will be longer. Okay, I will try to make a normal stride length. So let's suppose this is the size I want. Okay, and once I decide the size, I will copy and paste this rectangle and put it in the back. So I have two rectangles, one for the legs of the front and the other one for the legs of the back. Okay, so and how the rectangles are both the same size, I am sure that the legs of the front and the legs of the back will walk at the same speed because they are covering the same distance. Okay. Okay, so once I am done, I will go back to the camel bone layer, and I want to animate the legs, but actually I don't want to animate the rest of the body yet. So I will select the bones for the neck and the head, the bones for the cover, and the bones for the tail, and I will hide these bones because I don't want to work with them yet. So I will go to Bone menu and select Hide Selected Bones. So I don't see them now. They are still there, but I can't manipulate them, and it is good because that way I won't add any keyframe for that bones if I don't want to. Okay, so now I will go to frame 1 and I will start animating. So I will put this leg, I will put the heel of this leg touching the ground, which is this black line, and touching also the rectangle here. Okay, so here is the first step, and the other leg will do the same, so it will touch the rectangle with the heel, and it will touch the ground also. And I also can move the bone of the leg, the top bone of the leg, if I want. Okay, so I have the first step for the front leg, and I will do the same for the back leg. So I will take the okay, I will take this bone here and move it so the heel is touching the ground and the rectangle, and I will move this other bone to make the same. So I have the first step also, and I will move these bones too, just in case. Okay, so I have the first step. It doesn't look too fancy, but we will fix that. Okay, so now once I do that, I will add keyframes for all the bones on the rotation channel and add keyframes for all the bones on the translation channel. Okay, and now I will create the second step, So this work cycle will be a normal work cycle, so it will last 1 second. So the second step will be in frame 30. Okay. Of course, you can make this faster or slower depending of what you want. And now I will create the same animation, but I will do the opposite. So the legs will be touching the ground also, but at the opposite. Okay, and I can also move the top part of the legs. Okay, and I will also freeze this pose. I will press Ctrl F to freeze this pose. That is important. Okay, so now I am done with this. I will use onion skin. Okay, so with onion skins, I will activate this. I'm sorry, there is a suffering cat outside of the room. I have the onion skin here, and I will open the onion skin properties, and I will uncheck relative frames. Okay, and I will put an onion skin here in frame 1. I am in frame 30 and I am looking at frame 1. So now I will select all the bones of the body, and pressing Alt by using the transform bone tool, I will move the bones to the left of the screen, and I will try to make let me show you this again. This leg, I will follow this leg. I want to keep this leg in this position, so when I move, sorry, I am confused. This leg, okay. This leg you can see in frames 1 needs to be in the same position in frame 30. So I am doing that, and that way I am sure that the character is moving to the left of the screen. Okay, so once I am done, I will delete this onion skin, and then I will copy the first step, this one, the keyframe of this, in frame 25. So I will copy and paste this. So I have my character going forward and backward. So to fix that, I will put an onion skin in this in frame 30, and now I will check this leg. So this leg is in this position, and in frame 25 is in this position. So I need to move the character to the left to make this foot to be in the same position. So now I have this, and you can see how the character is moving to the left. Okay, so once I do that, I will select the last keyframes here, right click them and select cycle, and I will create a relative cycle, but I want the cycle to go back to frame 2, so instead of 24 I will put 23. Okay, so now I have a relative cycle, and you can see how the character is cycling. But I will select an additive cycle. So if I do that, the character will continue moving to the left, and you can see that in the tutorial about additive cycles for Anime Studio 11.2. So now I just need to fix the in-betweens. So this leg needs to be touching the ground, because it's the leg which is touching the ground, you see. And the other leg is passing to the next position, so I will move it up. So you can see it is working better now. And I will do the same in the next step. The other leg will need to be touching the ground, and this one will be up. You see, and I will fix some parts here. Okay, so now my steps are working better for the front legs, and I will do the same for the back legs. So I will put this and move this up. So you can see I am doing the same, and for the next step, this goes down and this goes up. I will hide the lines, I don't need the lines anymore. Okay, but you see, the work cycle is working. Okay, and now I will create a little up and down, or down and up. So I will move this character down and then up. Okay, and the same for the next step. Actually, I will use onion skin to do that. And I am repeating the process for the next step. Okay. So the character is going down and up, and you can see it is working a little better. But I can also move these bones down and up. So I have a more complex movement now. Oops. Okay. But anyway, you can see other tutorials for work cycles, so I don't want to stop too much in this. But once I have my work cycle, I can select all the bones related with the front or with the back legs. In this case, I will select the bones related to the front legs. So you can see I am selecting all that. And since we assigned a relative cycle, I can select the keyframes of that selected bones. I am selecting them in the red line, in the red channels, and I can move them a little to the right. So now what I am doing is that the legs of the front are moving at a different time than the legs of the back. So you can see I like this movement a little more. Okay, of course you can create a better one after watching this webinar, but I like that. And of course, if you look at a real camel, of course it won't move this way, but we are creating a cartoon. So now my character is working the way I want. Okay, so I am ready. And now you remember I have the other bones hide. So I will go to the bone menu and select show all bones. So now I can see the other bones, and we will start animating that bones, but actually we won't animate them. I will go to the frame 0 and select the bones of the tail, and I will go to the bone constraints and check bone dynamics. Okay, so these bones will move automatically. So now I will close the bones dynamic window and I will hit play. And I don't know if you can see this, but the tail is moving automatically, but it is not looking too good. So I will open, with the character playing, I will open the bone constraints. I will reduce, by dragging the right click, I will reduce the torque and the spring values. And maybe I will increase the damping force. So you can see now I am getting a much better result. I don't think you can see this in real time, but it is looking better. And I will make the same for the neck. So I will activate the dynamics and I will hit play. And now I will change the values in real time until I get what I want. So maybe I like this. Okay, and the same with the ears and with the cover. So I will activate the dynamics and I can change the values if I want. So now my character is done, and if I want to stop the animation, I just freeze the pose in the moment I want to stop it. So, for example, I freeze the pose here, and I will add keyframes for all the bones. Okay, and I can also select all the dynamics bones, and I can go to the bone constraint and check the dynamics. So from this moment to the future, that bones won't move. So now I can animate my character manually. So he or she, I don't know which is, if it is male or female, or it is a female. Okay, she just look at something, so it is pointing it. So I can animate this. Okay, it is like a dog. It just look at something and it is pointing it. Okay, so we have our animation. Now, this quadruped structure applies to different kind of characters. So, for example, I have different types of quadrupeds here. So I have this horse. All these characters were created by Oscar Chavez. Oscar Chavez is one of the guys who illustrated the characters you can see in the cover of Anime Studio. So he's very talented. So you can see this horse shares a similar structure, and he or she is walking. Okay, and this dog, which is much simpler than the other characters and also follows the same structure. So I can animate many different kind of quadrupeds with this. And I also have a monster here. And this monster, you can see it follows the same structure with the legs. So I can animate the back part of the body or the front part of the body or the entire body here. Okay, and with this monster there is another cool thing, and it is related to Anime Studio 11.2, and that is I can animate this with the sketch bone tool. So I can sketch the tail. Oh, sorry, I will do it again. I can scale the tail. So for example, I can move it down. So you can see it is fun to animate with this tool because it is like drawing. Okay, but here is the idea. So you can see how I have different kinds of quadrupeds, and they are all using the same structure to animate, or of rigging and animation. So I think it is a fun and easy way to use the tools. So I think that I am done with this webinar. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it was informative for you. So I am open to your questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victor. We actually don't have very many questions, so if you do have anything, please type it in the questions window right now, and we'll go ahead and get to them. One person did ask, why did you just not use angle constraints on the knees when you were rigging the camel?
Okay, I don't like angle constraints. I am a free spirit, and I think bones are free too. So I like to break the joints when I am animating. I think that is very important if you want to animate something strong. So, for example, it is not about the knees, but I could break the neck here to the other side to get some kind of effect during the animation, and that is good. So when you are using constraints, you are limiting yourself about the animation. Many movements, for example, if you have an arm, okay, this is my arm, and here is the hand. So if I move this to the other side of the screen like this, okay, here's the movement. If I have constraints of this arm, I could get until this position only, right? But in some fast movements, it is cool to be able to break the joint to give more strength to the movement. So in this case, I don't know if it is noticeable, and of course it is not the best example, but I just break the joint in a couple frames and then it become normal. So I like to be able to do that during the animation. And if your character is well real, you really shouldn't need to put constraints. Of course, it is it is my opinion, and I am not telling this is a useless feature or something like that. It is just I like to animate the characters, and I like to break the stuff sometimes. So I prefer to have that option, even if I don't use it. In this case, I am not breaking anything with the camel, but I like to have the option to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victor. Someone is asking if you ever add an extra bone to the animal's legs, for example, thigh to calf to ankle to toe, like how a dog or a cat's rear legs walk.
Yes, I do. It depends of the character you are reading. In this case, I wanted to keep everything as simple as possible, but you can put any number of bones you want. Of course, it will be harder to animate the character when you have more bones because you need to control more things. But you totally do it, and you totally can do it. And actually, when I am animating, normally I put a second bone here. I will add this quickly. To move the point of the foot, so when the character is touching the ground. Let me see, where is my character now. Okay, so when the character is touching the ground, I like to have the feet bending. Okay, of course I can fix this by using a smart bones and to get a better shape, but this is the idea. So you normally can bend the feet because you are bending the fingers or something like that. I don't know in the case of a camel if that is I don't know what scientists tell about that, but it is good to have different bones. And of course, if you are reading something more complex, for example, let's see, you are animating this something like a spider. Okay, and here these are the target bones. Okay, if you have this, you actually have a different method to bend the legs. So right now I am using the normal method, but I can select the bones of one leg, and I can go to the bone constraints and select arc EK solver. So this leg will use a different method to bend now. So you can test that too. So you can see how it is bending in a different way compared to the other leg. Okay, and that can can be useful in many cases. For example, here, the shape you get with this leg is much better than the other leg. So sometimes you will need to use this other method. Okay. Of course, you can fix this by hand. I can take the rotate bone tool and rotate this bone to get what I want, but it is an extra step that it is already solved in the other solver. So yeah, that works too with different kind of animals or insects or monsters or weird humans. I don't know.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victor. Someone is asking, on a character like the camel, would you consider rigging its head as a different target for the neck to avoid having to animate all the bones in each action?
Yeah, in some cases, yeah, it depends of the on the kind of animation you want to put in your character. And yeah, a target bone can be funny to animate. Actually, I will delete my animation. I will save the file first. Okay, now I will delete the animation. I will try to set up this quickly. So if I put a target bone here and an independent angle here. So now I have this. So this setup can be funny to animate something. So if your camel, for example, is dancing, you can make the dance with the body and then make the dance of the head independently, and that gives an effect of I don't know if you have seen how chickens move the head. If you haven't, you can check on YouTube when some people moves the body of the chicken, and the chicken keeps the head in the same position. It is very similar to this effect. So if you want to animate that kind of character or that kind of YouTube video, you can. Yeah, but it can be useful depending of the kind of animation you want. But as I said at the beginning of the webinar, the important thing here, it is not the only way to set up a character. And when you are rigging a character, you need to think about how it will move and and how you can improve that rig, how it can help the animation. And this kind of character of this kind of use of a target bone, it is a very clever one, and I really like it. I remember using this kind of target bone especially for a character who was dancing. So make the dancing part was very easy. Actually, the target bone was also in the, I don't know how to say this, I don't know the not offensive word, but the target bone was in the butt of the character. I don't know if that is okay or not to say, but so you can move that bone and the character will move the hips, and it was very funny because that hips movement was unrelated to the rest of the movement. So it was funny to see and funny to animate.
Okay, great. Thank you, Victor. So I'm getting some questions on if you can show different types of animations, and I'm a little concerned that they may be a little time consuming for what we have here. Would it be possible for you to show how you would make an animal gallop like a horse? Do you have time to do that?
Mm, I am not sure. Maybe I have a file here. I don't remember if it is a gallop or let me see. Try a horse. I suppose is this. Oops. Okay. I installed Anima Studio 5 just to see how old it was, and now it is opening my files by default. Yeah, I have, it is not a gallop, it is a running horse, but it is working here. This is actually a very old file, but anyway, if you want to do this kind of animation, you need to look at the reference and you need to look where are the key movements of that reference. Um, if you start tracing the animation frame by frame, it will look ugly because that frame by frame movement can work in real life, but that probably won't work in animation. So you need to check videos or of horses and try to see where are the keyframes, where is the main part of the animation. So I remember we made this for this horse. Um, but yeah, you can use all these tools in. This is an old file, so I wasn't using target bones or anything. I think this file was from Anime Studio 5 or maybe 6, so it is very, very old. But yeah, it is about the animation. It is good to have references, and especially for horses. Horses are very hard to animate, and you need to see if you want something like a realistic animation, or you want a more cartoony animation or more funny animation, and you need to see also if the design of your character is done to work in a realistic way, or it is designed to work in a not so realistic but more believable way to move. So you need to consider all that stuff. Personally, I almost of the time prefer to animate the things in the funny way because it's funny. But yeah, you need to check the references. There are plenty sites. Sorry, there are plenty sites about references, and you can check YouTube or any other or animated GIF. And of course, you can check the books of animation. You can check Richard Williams, who the Animator's Survival Kit, which is a very good book, and it also covers all this kind of stuff.
Okay, thank you, Victor. We are at the 1 hour mark, so we are going to continue. We have a few more questions that I'd like to try and get in. So if you have to drop off, we totally understand. If you want to stay with us, that would be great. We'll see how many more questions we can get through in the next 10 or 15 minutes. Someone is asking, on a 6-legged character, would you use 3 body bones?
Maybe, but it depends of the character. Some characters, for example, I am thinking about an ant, and normally I think I am not sure, but I think the ant have four legs in the back part and 2 in the front. So actually that 4 are part of the same structure. So that 4 legs will be child of one single bone. But yeah, you can start if you are making some other kind of insect or monster or something like that. You can separate that, but you need to think about um, the rigid part where these all legs born, because maybe it is not necessary to split the body in 3 parts, but if you want, you can.
Okay, great. Thank you. I don't know if you have a file that's already created for this, but someone is asking how you would show an animal walking towards the camera.
No, I don't have. You can check the Richard Williams survival kit for that, and this is a topic which is very common also in the forum. Um, there are some techniques to do that, or it is not actually a technique, it is more a guide. When the character is walking that way, or the camera is looking, you will need to use some frame by frame abilities to do that. So probably you won't be able to do everything using bones. You can save a lot of time using bones, but a character moving that way is more about frame by frame, or at least using switches to change some parts of the body. So you will have to scale some parts and change. The hand will look different if it is close to the camera, and the same with the feet. So yeah, that I think that is more a question about animation itself more than the software. The software can help and totally helps, but you won't be able if you don't understand how to draw this kind of work cycle.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of frame by frame, we did have someone ask if there was if a way for you to show some interaction between a rigged quadruped and the new frame by frame tool. I suspect that we don't really have time to go into that, but if you have anything that you're able to show.
No, I'm sorry, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
that's probably that would be like a part of a webinar, actually, something like that. I'm really sorry
Yeah,
that we aren't able to get to that.
but anyway, there is nothing special about that. I mean, you have the combination of quadrupeds and frame by frame, but it is actually like combining anything with frame by frame. Any bone rigging animation with frame by frame, the process will be similar. So it is not something special about quadrupeds.
Okay.
You can have a character with no legs, and then the process will be similar.
Okay, great. A few more questions here. How does Anime Studio manage the rotation of, for example, a face without the artist must make each image for each rotation? That's kind of getting off the topic a little bit, but do you want to address
Yeah,
that?
yeah, sure. Yeah, Anime Studio have several tools to make something like automatic rotation. It is not actual automatic actually, but it is a way you save time. So if I create a head, okay, this is a head, so I can move the points to the left or to the right, and the software will automatically create in between, so I can modify the in between too. So I have a rotation. Okay, and there, of course, this is very ugly and won't be part of any video, but yeah, you have tools, and you can put all this inside a smart bone. So I'll create a smart bone here. I just want to show you how easy it is to do this. So I will create an action for this, and suppose I rotate the smart bone this way and rotate the points here. Okay, so I have this animation. So I made this, and now every time I rotate this bone, the character will rotate the head. So I just need to move one bone to get that animation. So yeah, you have tools to do that, and of course you can create more complex characters for this. And you can check in the forum, in the Lost Marble forum, there are several threads about head turns. So and several techniques to do that. But you can see it is actually very easy to set up.
Okay, thank you, Victor. So we have one last question we'll take. Do you have any examples of targeted leg with 3 bones, like a horse or dog, that you could show us moving?
I don't think I have one here, but in the example I created, I could make this character move. So So if you want to make this character move, I can create some steps here. Yeah, I don't know if that works for you, but here you have a character moving with these 3 bones for legs setup. So you can see there is actually nothing special about that.
I think you kind of just have to test it out and play with it, probably, right?
Sorry?
I said it's probably just best to try and test it out and
Yeah,
play with it and get a feel for
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And it is just remember, if your rig is not working well, you can select the leg and activate the arc IK solver, and that will probably help.
Okay, great. Well, that's it for our questions then. I think we're going to wrap the webinar. Victor, thank you so much for your presentation today, and thank you everyone for joining us. We really, really appreciate you being here, and we hope that you learned something today. So go ahead and wrap it up here. Sorry, this is a little clunky with me doing it all here. All right, so for more information on Anime Studio, please visit our website. That's anime.smithmicro.com. For more information on our webinars, or to see which webinars are coming up, or to watch previously recorded ones, find the webinar section on our website. It's my.smithmicro.com/webinars. And Victor also mentioned in the webinar earlier, Lost Marble. We do have an official forum for Anime Studio, and you can find that at lostmarble.com. Be sure to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Find out when the webinar recording is available. We'll announce it there as soon as it is. And lastly, to find the best deals on Anime Studio and the latest news, please subscribe to our email list if you haven't already. And we do have educational pricing for teachers and students, and you can find that on our website as well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and say thank you once again to Victor. Thank you all for being here, and we hope to see you in the next webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.